Okay, good Vach, Shvua Tov. This week we have to start out a little bit with vayetzei and then vayishlach. Last week we didn't get in vayetzei, so we're going to ask a few questions on vayetzei, and then we'll learn vayishlach. So vayetzei, since it's over already, I want to ask you just two questions, or tell you one thing, and then ask you a bomba kasha. In vayetzei last week, you'll notice, maybe you won't notice it, but it's a fact that when Bilhah's name is mentioned, Bilhah Beis Lamed Hey Hey, which is 42, that happens to be the 42nd pasuk in the Sedra. So you say, well, coincidence. Let's take a look. Don is 54. That's the 54th pasuk in the Sedra. Dina is 69. That's the 69th pasuk in the Sedra. And then we get to the last pasuk before Chamishi, where you have 4 times Ayin Dalid, which is 74, and that's the 74th pasuk in the Sedra. So maybe it's not coincidental. Maybe it's all Torah min Hashemayim. And the 4th pasuk says, "Tano es noshai, give me my wives. Lest Yilah die, my children." This is after 14 years, before he started working 6 years for himself. Asher avadati, I worked for you. Avadati has an ayin and a dalet in it. Osecha, for you. Vahain, for these women. 2 wives. Ve'elcha, I'll go. Ki ato yodati, because you know it has an ayin and a dalet in that. Es avodasi, which has an ayin and a dalet in that. Asher abadaticho has an ayin and a dalet in that. 74. It's the 74th pasuk. So, what do you learn from that? The first one, Bilhah, 42. Don, 54. Dino, 69. And these 4 words with ayin dalet in, abadati, yodati, avadati, avadaticho, 74. Ayin Dalet is an aid, a witness. 4 times aid. You know, Lavan, that my 4 wives are aidim, that I was honest with you, even though you cheated me. Turn it around. Da, you know this is true. And if you take 74 times 4, you get 296. 2 and 9 is 11, 6 is 17, 1 and 7 is 8. You know that I have to make, 8 means future, lost in love, right? I have to work for myself. I'm working for you for 14 years. I'm now 92 years old. I have to start to make my own future. So it says that you should know there's 4 things, because Daled Ayin without the Ayin is still Daled. There's 4 keys that Hashem never gave to any person. The fact that my wife got pregnant, Rachel, it's a nace because she's barren. There is 4 keys Hashem never gave to anybody. Da shelo nosan Hashem mafteichos shel daled devarim to any malach. That is Geshem, that's under God's control. Parnasa, that's under God directly. Tchias hamesim, only God controls that, no agent. And akoros, women that can't give birth. Da, you should know that my parnasa through you, even though you cheated me 100 times, asora monim means 10 times 10, 100 times. God made it happen anyhow. And the fact that my wife is an Akara Rachel, she had the child out because Hashem wants that. He has the key. And my 4 wives, all of them will testify that I'm an honest man. I worked for you for all these years. And I think it's time for me to go. Yes.
What does it mean practically that 4 keys God has himself and the rest he gives to angels. Do we have any practical difference for understanding this, or it's holy?
That is a very difficult question. Yizkor lehim is Rochel. God remembered Rochel. Yesh shikha. Does God forget? Elo daled maftechos. 4 keys only goes through him. Direct to fill it to him will change the natural events. Otherwise, you're born under a certain mazel, you can't change it. There's 4 things that are not left up to fate, fatalism. You pray, your mazel change. One is Geshem, even if you're wicked, but if you do tshuva, Hashem will send the rain, because he holds the key. And Parnosa, if you mispalel, maybe he'll change your mazel to a good mazel. Parnosa. Tchias HaMesim, if you do tshuva, maybe you'll wake up by Tchias HaMesim. And Akoros, women that are born naturally barren, he can change the nature, al pines. So these 4 keys, represented by Dalid, you should know that these 4 keys are only up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why it says, "Vayizkor Lakim." God remembered Rachel. Does he forget? No, he remembered that she gave over the secrets to Leah, not to embarrass her in the middle of the night. So it's a known thing that my whole existence here is al pines. Panosa, I came here, you were a very poor man. You didn't even have a shepherd. You had to send your daughter out, your 5-year-old daughter out, to a shepherd, and no one wanted to work for you. And when I came here, you became a wealthy man, and you had children. Because you didn't have any children before, Rashi says. Now you have children. It's 14 years later. And now Yaakov is working for Lavan, not for Lavan. He works for himself 6 more years and becomes a multi-millionaire. Le'alfei al-ravavos, tens of thousands of sheep and goats and camels and donkeys. And he becomes poor again, Lavan. And Yaakov is a millionaire. And after 6 more years, when he's 98 years old, because he finished working at 92, he started working at 77, he worked 14 years, that's 92, and now he works for himself for 6 years, 98 now, after he becomes a very wealthy man. Lavan is a pauper, a beggar, a ani. Then they look at the workers of Lavan and say, look at this, that man Yaakov, he took everything from my father, he's a cheat, he's a ganav. Then he tells them, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Hashem helped me by nace, I had a panosa, even though you cheated me. We decided you keep all the white sheep and the black goats, and I get the spotted ones and the speckled ones and the striped ones. You know what you did? After we made that condition, you took away all the spotted and speckled, so therefore I can't make them. So Hashem did an ace for me. He told me to take certain wood that has white bark, like poplar and birch, and to peel off the peel and expose the wood underneath. He put it in water troughs. That becomes black, and the white bark is white and black, and the animals look at it while they are drinking. They get into heat, and they mate, and they have animals that are spotted and striped and speckled like those pieces of wood in the water trough. Hashem, after 6 years, made me a millionaire. Now you're poor again. So these few things from the parsha last week, before we get to this week, is I want to do and tell you about. Before we go to vayishlach, last week's parsha vayetzei, one more thing. This is a $64,000 question. When Yaakov ran away from Lavan, because Lavan was 3 days away to the east, on a trip to shear his sheep, they were 120 mil away, which is 90 miles. 3 days trip. Yaakov snuck out, went the other way, west to Eretz Yisrael, to Eretz Canaan. So they were 6 days apart. When Lavan found out about it, who informed him? Amalek. Amalek is the grandson of Esau. Esau Alifaz Amalek. He told him, what is he doing here? He knew that he has to come back after 20 years, and Esau sent him and informed him, where is Yaakov along the road? Maybe I'll kill him. And he saw that Yaakov disappeared. Just happened to show up at the right time. He told Lavan that Yaakov escaped, so that 3 days this way and 3 days that way took 7 days to get there. But he did it in 1 day. It's derech shivas yomim, but he did it 1 day. Why did God give to Lavan kfitzas haderech, shrinking of the derech, like he did to Eliezer when he went from Beersheba to Choron, which is a 17-day trip? he made him come there in an hour, because he's a tzaddik. He wanted to get the shidduch for Yitzchak very quickly. Why did Hashem make the derech for Yaakov from Beersheba all the way up there in one day, and all of a sudden he saw these men standing around a well for tzaddikim? Why would he do that for a Russia like Lavan? Why? For a Russian. He didn't want Lavan to take really 7 days to think it over. Maybe he shouldn't pursue his son-in-law, the tzaddik, Yaakov. Maybe all these years God is treating him miraculously. Maybe now that he came with soldiers to kill Yaakov, by the way. He wanted to kill Yaakov, his son-in-law, which is his nephew, and his 4 daughters, which is Yaakov's wife, and the 11 children. And that's Klal Yisrael. I want to wipe out. So God came to him the night before. He said, watch your step. Watch yourself. Yisham l'cha. So he wanted to kill his whole grandchild, all his grandchildren. So he made the trip instead of 7 days, in 1 day. Hashem didn't want him to have the time to think, to maybe do tshuva. If he thought it over, he'll think, well, God saved him so many times, I better stop and not pursue him, and I better let him go, because some way or other I'll lose. So he decided, he got there in 1 day. Hashem came to him in a dream. Hashem comes to Rishayim. Yes, only for Yisrael's sake. That's why he came to Pharaoh when he kidnapped Sora. That's why he came to Bilam. Keep your mouth shut, he said. He comes to Rishayim only for Yisrael. He came to Pharaoh and says, give this man's wife back. He's a Navi. If he doesn't pray for you, you're dead. And he came to Avimelech and Yitzchak's wife. You better because he says, why are you telling me it's your sister? It's your wife. And Hashem came to him and punished him terribly. So why didn't Lavan think it over? Maybe he shouldn't pursue his son-in-law. Hashem didn't want to give him a chance to do tshuva. Because when you're given a chance, many, many, many times to do tshuva, and you don't do it, then you're not given a chance to do tshuva. The 10 makus of Pharaoh, the first 5, it says that Pharaoh hardened his heart. The last 5, it says God hardened his heart. The Chazik Hashem is Pharaoh gave him a rationale why to explain everything away. Yes, I'll let him out. When the plague came, no, I changed my mind. Yes, I'll let him out. No, I changed my mind. Yes, I'll let him out. I changed my mind. After the 5th plague, the 6th one, or the 7th, the Avodim said to Pharaoh, don't you know, Ki Ovdom Mitzrayim, Egypt is finished. Why don't you let the people out? He couldn't do it. Hashem didn't let him. He gave him a chizuk, encouragement, to find a rationale, always how to explain it away. Once you're given a chance, after you're given a chance many times to do tshuva, and you spit in the face of the person that offered you salvation, then you're not given an opportunity to do tshuva anymore, because you're a lowlife, a rasha, an ungrateful person. Tshuva is a grand opportunity. You rebuke it. You're not given that opportunity. Here, he made Lavan get there in 1 day, rather than 7 days, because maybe he would think it over. He didn't want him to think it over. He wanted him to be punished. And Lavan was eventually executed by his son-in-law, Yaakov. And when the 2 boys, Shimon and Levi, wiped out Shechem, a few months later, the nations around came to attack Yaakov. Thousands of troops, and who was the head general? Lavan. So Yaakov killed him. Just like when Abraham was thrown in a pit by Nimrod, many, many years later, he got Lot out of captivity, and he killed the 4 kings. One of them was Nimrod, or he's called Amraphel. So Abram killed the man that threw him into the pit 50 years earlier. Yaakov killed his father-in-law, who treated him, tricked him, and cheated him. Moshe Rabbeinu killed 3-4 people in the Midbar. Don't mess with these tzaddikim. You will always lose. David HaMelech killed thousands. Shlomo didn't kill anybody, but he had a hitman, Ben Yehoyada, who bumped off his brother Adoniyahu, who wanted to take over the government against, while David is still living. And Amnon and Tamar, Amnon Ma'anes, let's be euphemistic, his half-sister, he had it bumped off, Shlomo. By Ben Yehoyada bumped him off. Don't mess with tzaddikim because they're fierce. So now here's the $64,000 question. When he left, Yaakov left, Rachel took the truffin, little shrunken heads that people worshipped. And Lavan comes home and he looks around for the truffin to find out they speak, they're idols that speak. He wanted to know where Yaakov went, where exactly to go. The truffin will tell him exactly what direction he is. Otherwise, how does he know where he went? You can go to Eretz Canaan many ways. Yeah. Maybe he went straight down to Beit Lechem, maybe went up to the Golan Heights and down. How do you know where? He wanted to talk to the truffin. The truffin weren't there. Someone had stole them. Yaakov never knew that it was his wife Rachel. So, why did she take the truffin? So they want to suggest that to stop her father from avodah zarah, a man can buy other truffin. They use that in Africa today. Truffin is, you can Google it. Truffin, T-R-O-P-H-I-M. It's a shrunken head of a human being, usually a firstborn that you kill, and you shrunk the head and take out the inside and everything, and you shrunk the skull down, and it becomes on your hand. You can hold a little mini skull, and you put candles inside, and you talk to it, and you get yourself in a trance, and it speaks to you, the truffin. So he wanted to ask the truffin, where did he go? She took the truffin, not because he's doing avodah zarah, because they'll tell him where they are. So she took the truffin. And then he comes running after them. He's there in a few hours, and he says, "Who took my truffin?" Yaakov says, "Anything in my property that belongs to you, that is stolen, that person who took it will not live. In Nimtza, if it's found amongst the person who took it, he won't live." Because Yaakov, that would destroy Yaakov's whole life's program of honesty. Yaakov is Ish Emes. That would destroy his whole thing. So he didn't know that his wife Rachel took them, and he says, "Anyone who took it is chayiv misa." Yes.
Do we know why he reacted so strongly, Yaakov? Yaakov, why?
Because his whole life's premise is built on emes, and no one in his hundreds of employees that he had with the 11 kids and the 4 wives, he vaday sure nobody stole. He doesn't steal. He was vaday sure.
And what if someone had taken it by accident?
You can't take it by accident. You don't steal by accident. So no, not an idol. So he saw it like this. He said, if the Goyim took it, the employees over there, well, they're chayiv misa because Shem mitzvah b'nei Noach. Every one of them is chayiv misa. A Jew who steals, you don't get a misa for stealing. Even if it's $1 billion, you don't get misa. So you knew if it's a Goy, one of the Goyim, then the chayiv misa because all the Shem mitzvahs are chayiv misa by Shem mitzvah b'nei Noach. But his wife wouldn't even think about that. So why did she die? Because she died very young, on the way home. She died at 26 years of age. Because when he met her, Yaakov, he was 77 and she was 5. 72 years difference. And that's why he kissed her on the forehead. Because she's a katana. And he saw he was going to be buried with her. So he cried. So then he worked 7 years, and 7 years, and then 6 years, 20 years, and 5 is 25. And only a year, and it took a year and a half to go home. She died at age 26. Some people say 36. Not right. Because he couldn't have kissed her then. She wouldn't have been 5. She would have been 10 years older, 15. And you can't kiss a woman you're not married to. So she was 5 years old plus 20. He stayed there 20 years, 25. And a year and a half home, 26 years old. That's all she died young. Because why? Few reasons. Because Yaakov said, anyone with whom you find these truffin, lo yichya, will not live. Doesn't mean you're going to drop dead right away. Shortly you will die. And Shitaka died before anybody. 26. Yaakov lived to 147. And Yosef lived to 110. And all the other brothers lived to 120 or more. She died very young. Not because of this stealing, because the Jew doesn't get Misa for Geneva, because of the curse of Yaakov. Now we have this is the $64,000 question. Why did she take them? And then when Laban came into the tent, he's touching all around there. She came into Rachel's tent, which was Yaakov's tent. She says, "Dear fat dad, please don't get angry. I can't get up for you. I have derech noshim. I have my period." But there's another reason. She's sitting on the truffle, but he didn't know that. So, question: if she took them, and she doesn't want her father to do avodah zarah or ask the truffle where they are, to where the Yaakov is, why didn't she smash them? Break them, like Avram did to his father's idols, Terah. Why didn't Rachel destroy them, burn them, smash them, throw them in the Yam? Why did she keep them? So Yaakov says, he didn't say he who stole them, with which they are found, whoever has them. Anyone using Trofim Avodah Zarah, you're for Gineva, you don't get Misa. If you're using Trofim, Chai Misa, you're going to die. He didn't say who stole them. Yeah, of course you had to steal them, but that was not the reason why you get Misa, not for stealing. Using Avodah Zarah, it's Chai Misa. Lo Yichya, one drop dead now, but you won't live long. And he didn't know it was his wife. Now his wife did not consult Trofim. And you know, and the Jewish woman doesn't get Misa for Geneva. But she died not because of the Geneva, because of the fact that he says Lo Yichya, the curse. That's why she died. That's one reason. Some say she died because she answered before her sister. One situation there, it says Rachel answered before Leah. Not able to do that. Another reason said she died a year early because she said to Yaakov, if you don't give me children, Mesa Nochi, I'm a dead person. A few reasons. But anyhow, this is the $64,000 which I'm not going to give you the answer. Why didn't she smash them? Why is she keeping them? My number, anywhere around the world, if you know the answer to this, call me on my cell phone anytime you want. 845-826-4789. That's the question of last week's Pasha. Now let's go to this week's Pasha. Vayishlach Yaakov Melachim. So he came home. He's now in the Golan Heights. Vayishlach Yaakov Melachim. He sends an angel to Esau. He's coming down the country. He wants to see Esau. He doesn't want to see him. He wants to go home, down from the Kinneret, all the way down to Vayishlach, to his father Yitzchak. So he's going to pass Esau, Mastama. Someone's going to hear about this, and he's thinking maybe Esau still has that old vengeance to kill him, like you said 20 years ago. He said it even 30, 20, and 14, 34 years ago, because he went 63, Yaakov took the bracha from Esau, and they're both the same age. And then he went 14 years in the Shiva, 77. Then he went out to Choron, which is on the top of the Euphrates River, on top, near Damascus, Syria, over there to Iraq, on the top of the river. On top of the river is Choron, on the bottom of the river, 150 miles down, is Ur. Ur, that's where Abram was born. And today there's a war in Iraq, in the middle of the country, on the next river, I think on the Hideka, or the Tigris, is a river, it's a city called Mosul. If you know the map of that area, Mosul, that's Nineveh, where Leona went. Okay, that country is loaded with graves of Tanoim and Amoraim who wrote the Gemara, Iraq. Anyhow, so now he comes back, and he's all the way back almost. Vayishlach Yaakov Melachim, this is Pasha Vayishlach. Yishlach Yaakov Melachim lefanav el Esav Achiv, to Esav his brother. Why do you call him brother? He wants to kill you. Because Esav is different than all the Goyim in the world. All the Goyim were pagans. Esav was not a pagan. Murderer, killer, wicked, but not a pagan. Didn't worship other idols. That's why he's a brother of Yaakov. He's a kinsman. He's a monotheist. Yaakov adds the Seir to lands of Seir. It's a day Edom, the fields of Edom. Because Esav is Edom. So talk to my master Esau. So says your servant Yaakov. If love and guarantee with love and I live, I'm waiting until now. I live with Golavan, Garti as a ger. You don't have to hate me, Esau. I'm just a ger. God said, I'm going to bless you from the dew of heaven and the rain of heaven. I don't have any fields. These cows and sheep, they don't come from the field. They don't grow from the field. So there's no reason to hate me. Lavan Garti. I live with Lavan 20 years. Garti, same letters as Tayag, which means I kept the Tayag mitzvah 613, and he didn't affect me, that crooked thief. He is my father-in-law, he's my uncle, and he's the Zaidi of Klal Yisrael. He's the Saba of Klal Yisrael, rotten uncle. He must have had a wonderful wife. Her name was Adina. He had 4 Sidkonios daughters, Rachel, Leah, Zilpah, and Bilhah. From them come all of Klal Yisrael. He was a rotten fellow, but his wife must have been in Tzedek, because we don't even, it doesn't say in the Torah, Adina. Chazal say Adina. She must have been a wonderful person. And this wife of Lot, he had 2 daughters. They met L'Shem Shemayim when they slept with their father. They were never punished. One of them comes Mashiach, Moav, from the father. Rus, Boaz, Obed, Yishai, David, Shlomo, Mashiach. So they were never punished. This low fellow, no good either. He said, Abraham, I don't want you and I don't want your religion. He must have had a wonderful wife. Because look, daughters, Tzidkonios, the younger and the older, had children, Moab and Ammon. One woman from Ammon was Shlomo's wife. And eventually from Moab came Rus. So he says, I live with love and guarantee, Tayag mitzvah shemarti. You're not going to affect me either. I'm going to keep my Torah. Ili shor v'chamor, have a lot of animals, and Eved and Shivcha and maid servants and women servants. And I'm going to I want to send you a gift to tell my master, maybe you'll find favor in my Agmi. Maybe we can get along together and we can live in peace. The angels came back. El Yaakov Lamor saying, we came to your brother Esau. And he's coming towards you with 400 soldiers. He doesn't have good intentions. 98-year-old man, Yaakov and Esau were twins. 98, he has 400 soldiers. He wants to kill you. Yaakov was very afraid. 2 years in by Yiro. Afraid of being killed or have to kill his brother. Vayetzei, and it grieved him very much. He was afraid for a number of reasons. Kill or get killed. Many other reasons. The brother is coming with 400 soldiers. And Rivka told her son that Esau will not kill you as long as the father lives, because he doesn't want to aggravate his father. And Esau did kibbut more bigger than any person ever did. Great, he perfected that mitzvah. So if now he wants to kill Yaakov, it means the father died. Oh, he was afraid about that. Number 2, he was afraid that Esau did all these years kibbut and he didn't. To a tzaddik, not doing a mitzvah is like an avera. It's another thing. Number 2, he was afraid that he was afraid. He should have had a talking. God said, I'll take care of you. He was afraid that he was afraid. He should have had trust in Hashem and not be afraid. So he divided his camp up in 2 machinas. One here and one over here. Divide everything in half. Then he prayed to God, please save me. And then he said, I am smaller than, I don't deserve any more favors. 20 years you did favors with me, protecting me against a cheat, a liar, a thief, and a deceiver. So many chasodim. I came as a penniless man. I crossed this yard with my makel, my staff. I didn't own a thing. Now I have 2 machnos, 2 camps, hundreds of employees, thousands of sheep and goats. Maybe I used up all my credits. I'm too small for any more favors. Because emes and all the truth he did to me. Shel Sisa as Abdech that you did with your servant. Keep a makli of artis yardin with my staff. I didn't have anything. I left with a lot of goods, but Esau sent his son Eliphaz to kill me. And Eliphaz came and met Yaakov when he was running away from Esau. He said, Tati sent me to kill you, but I learned with you for many years. He was 74 years old now, and he said, I can't kill. He said, I'll tell you what, take all my clothes, and then Ani Chashib Kameis, a poor man's like a mace, and then it's like you killed me, but you have to listen to me about it. But you can't kill, so take my clothes and Ani Chashib Kameis. So he had nothing but a makel, and he touched the yard there 20 years ago, and it split open, and he went through. But he was a poor man, and now he comes back a multi-millionaire. And now I'm going to have 2 big camps. I'm saying, save me from my brother. Miyad Esau, he's my brother, but he acts like Esau. And he wanted to wipe me, he wants to wipe me out, and all the 4 women, my wives, and all 11 children. Means he wants to wipe out Klal Yisrael. There was another man that wanted to wipe out Klal Yisrael in Persia in one day. You know what his name is? It's hinted to right here. Hatzileni no miyad. Haman. Wanted to wipe out all Klal Yisrael. There's a man right now in Iran who wants to do it. Yamach Shemo Hitler wanted to make the world Juden rein, clean of Jews. Haman didn't do it. Esau couldn't do it. Haman didn't do it. They defeated him and got Haman hung with his 11 children. Hitler didn't do it, and he won't do it. You'll see. You'll just watch. They all eventually get hung in their own trap. Hatileni no miyad, that's Haman, Rosh Hashanah. Akim yad Esav. So he slept there that night, and how could he sleep? When the angels came back and said 400 soldiers are coming, how can you sleep? If you trust God, you can sleep soundly. By Yolin Shom Balaylo Hahu. There's another person that he slept that night, that's Pharaoh. If the Moshe told them the 10th plague is coming, we're going to wipe out all your firstborn. So it says in the middle of the night, Hahu, Hey, Vav Aleph is 12. In the middle of the night, he got up at 12 o'clock, and he said, Moshe, get out of here. How could you go to sleep if Moshe warned you a few hours before that? Yeah, and you already had 9 plagues that each one came out 100% true. Don't you trust Moshe Rabbeinu that you're going to get wiped out if you don't let the Jews out? You're going to get all firstborn are going to die. How could you go to sleep? Rashi said. He went to sleep. Rashi said he got up, Vayakam Mimi Tosla from his bed. Well, of course, you don't sleep in the air. He actually laid in the bed. He wasn't afraid. There's 2 types of people that can sleep soundly: a tzaddik Tomim who fears no man, like Yaakov, and a Rosh Gomer who does not fear God at all. He can sleep in the bed and no problem, doesn't bother him. He feared Moshe. Middle of the night, he's running around. Moshe, get out of here. He said, no, we'll wait till the morning. He knew if you don't get out, we're all going to drop dead. He didn't know it was just the firstborn. Till it took him a few days to figure this out. You can sleep soundly if you fear God, and then you don't fear anybody else. Or like Pharaoh, you don't fear God. You have no conscience doesn't bother you. You can sleep on the night of Makat B'choros. Slept that night, and he gave Esav a gift, all these animals, 550 animals, and Esav comes running over eventually next morning. At night he fights with an angel, and the angel can't defeat Yaakov, which means he told Yaakov, you win, I lose, I tried to defeat you, but I couldn't. Tuchol, you stayed alive. So that is the history of the Jewish people. We fight the Satan, that is the Sar Shel Esav, the Satan, the Malach HaMovas who wants to kill us, the Satan, the Sitra Acher, the other side, the force for evil. He's called Samuel. He wants to blind you to your life's mission. Samuel is an angel of Esav who wants to blind the Jews to their mission. Don't look at that Torah that tells you have a mission. Samuel. You know how you get blind? Either a malach blinds you, or you take the letters after Samuel, Osios Shnios, the letters after Samach. Mem, Aleph Lamed. After Samach you get Ayin, and after Mem you get Nun, and after Aleph you get Beis, after Lam you get Mem. You know what that spells? Anavim, grapes. You can get blind from liquor too, and wine. Pleasure can blind you to your goals. Samuel wants to blind you to not achieve your goals. Like wine, Anavim will blind you and ruin your life. So he fought him all night and he couldn't defeat him, and he says, send me away. My time has come. He says, why? Tonight I have to say Shira. The Rakhov said, why do you have to go before sunrise? What are you, a thief, a ganav? Kubiustus, you're a cube player, you're a gambler, you didn't pay your bills? No, he says, tonight is my night to say Shira to Hashem. He says, how come tonight? Because tonight, this was at Alos HaShachar. They fought all night, and by 72 minutes before sunrise, Alos HaShachar, the morning star, which is when you go outside every morning, 72 minutes before Netzacham, or you see Venus, Noga, the star, the bright star, that's the morning star, the day started. It's still a little dark, but there's still day started. In fact, it's very dark, it's dawn. So he says, send me away. He says, why, you a thief, a gun, if you're running away from authorities? Well, I have to say Shira. Why do you have to say Shira? Because I have accomplished my mission. What is your mission you accomplished? My job was to destroy you. You didn't let me destroy you. I lost. You won. That was my mission. Thank goodness you defeated me. You made me weak. You didn't let me do my job. And I finally accomplished my mission, which was to lose. Every time in life you are set up by the vayetzei Hara and you don't give in, the vayetzei Hara loses. He's very happy. He knows you could do it, but if you decide to give up, it's your fault, not his. He says, I have to say Shiro because now I have fulfilled my mission. I've accomplished my mission by losing to you. Now you can't kill the Satan, the Yetzer Hara. God made him. Ba'arasi Yetzer Hara, God said, I made him. It's not like the Christians say it's an anti-God force against God. No, Hashem creates Yetzer Hara. Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tavelin though. I made the Torah as an antidote. Learn Torah, you'll be saved. So the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, is an intelligence that gets into your brain. Torah is counterintelligence. You cannot defeat the Satan unless you have knowledge. Doing mitzvahs won't help you. It's very nice after you defeat the Yetzer Hara, you do mitzvahs, but you'll never overcome that Satan unless you learn Torah, because he is intellectual enemy of yours, and Torah is super intellectual. That's the only way you fight the Yetzer Hara is with counterintelligence. Once you defeated him and got him down to zero, you can't kill him because God created him. But you can neutralize him. Then you can do mitzvahs. But unless you get rid of that counter force, your mitzvahs don't mean anything because you don't really believe everything in the Torah. You have to totally defeat the Yetzer Hara, or he's called Satan, or he's called Malach HaMolos. You know why he's called three names? The first stage is called Yetzer Hara. Next stage of defection is Satan. The next stage is Malach HaMolos. He comes to you as a Yetzer Hara. I want to do something. You want to do something bad that Torah doesn't allow. Then you start thinking about it. It's really not so bad. Everybody's doing it. I see nice people, religious people doing it. That's called Satan, rationalization. I figured out it's not so bad. And then I do it, and then I hang myself. That's called Malach HaMolos. The Malach HaMolos is the Satan. He is the Yetzer Hara. 3 levels of defection from God. And eventually the Malach HaMolos puts you to death. Which means you're so foolish, you don't understand you're being set up. It's a trap. Like you do business with a person, underworld character, till one day he says, hands up! I'm a federal agent. He set you up the whole time. And then you're caught. Then exactly what a Yetzer Hara is. Then it develops into Satan, power of rationalization. And then Malach HaMolos, he will execute you. And the Jewish court, the witnesses who talk and witness against somebody, they will have to carry out the execution. So the Dayan tells them, be very careful what you say. Because if you are going to get him punished, Malchus, or the 4 types of execution, you're going to have to carry that out. So the Yetzer Hara, Satan, Malach HaMolos is all one, it says. He was happy that he lost to Yaakov. That was his job, to lose. And a person who's a fool gives in. And every time you have a test to read something, to steal something, to sign something, to do something, to eat something that's not right, you're being tested. And if you fall in, the Yetzer Hara is very sad because he sees that you're a fool. And then if you go further, he's sadder until if he beats you, he's sorry. He's very sorry. But if you beat him, he's happy. Yeah. And so he says, send me away. He said, well, what's your name? He said, Yaakov, give me a bracha, Yaakov said. He said, what's your name? He said, Yaakov. He said, okay, your name won't be anymore Yaakov, it'll be Yisrael. But right after this, God calls him Yaakov until the end of Chumash Bereshit to call him Yaakov. Doesn't mean your name won't be called Yaakov anymore. He says, Lo Yaakov Ye Omar O Yomer. Doesn't say Lo Yaakov Yikora. That you won't be called. No, they won't say about you only Yaakov. They'll say Yisrael too. Yaakov means a heel. You tricked your brother. The world says you took away his brachas, you took away his bechorim, they took away his brachas. They won't say that anymore. They'll say you're really Yisrael, a superior man, Sar, superior. You're not a deceiving person. They're going to look at you sometimes in a not such a complimentary way, sometimes in a very complimentary way. They won't only call you Yaakov, you call you Yisrael. So he says, Yaakov says, Nu, what's your name? He said, Lama zet tishal me. What do you ask me my name for? A malach doesn't have a name. Every job that he does has a different name, and then he disappears when he does his job. In fact, I did my job. I tested you. I tried to destroy you, and it didn't work. I'm finished. I did my job. I'm over. So I don't have a name. Lama zeh tishal lishmi. Why do you ask me my name? By Yivarach Hashem, show me, bless Yaakov there. Your name should be not only Yaakov, be Yisrael too. Now, Rav Chaim Brisker said, the name of the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, is Lo Mazeh Tishal Lishmi. Why do you ask me my name? When you want to do something bad, and you know way in the back of your mind, maybe it's awesome, but you don't know for sure, so you do the Averum, and next week, when you find out from the rabbi that it's awesome, you'll say, well, I did it, but I didn't know, so it's shogeg. But if you would have known up front and you did, it would be mazed, tremendously different. The carbon is different. In fact, you don't bring carbonos for mazed. For shogeg, you bring carbon. You bring a chatos, because you didn't do shogeg. But you didn't want to ask. Well, I eat in this restaurant first, and then I'll ask a show. I'll do this business practice, make some money, then I'll ask if it's okay to do that. You don't ask first. You don't know vadai if it's awesome. You're really a shogeg. Because if you did ask and you did, you'll be mazed. You don't want to do that. So that, Chaim Brisker says, that is the power of the Yetzer Hara. That you don't ask questions. Don't fragnish shalas. If I found that as awesome, I didn't know. I'm a shogeg. Lama zeh tish'ali b'shmi. Why do you ask me my name? That's exactly the mentality of people who are controlled by the Yetzer Hara. Why do you ask me my name? Don't ask any shalas. Just do it. That's how he gets into your brain. And one more thing, he met the next morning, he meets Esav, he comes running toward him with 400 soldiers, and he runs over to Yaakov. Yaakov thought for sure he was going to get killed. But then he said, no, last night I was fighting with the Sar Shel Esav, and he couldn't defeat me, so yeah, this man can't defeat me either. Maybe he'll cripple me, maybe he'll bite me in the neck, maybe he'll hit me in the hip, maybe he'll blind me. He won't kill me. So he says, by Yoros Esav Lacrosse, so Esav ran toward him. He hugged him. He fell on his neck. And he kissed him. And they both cried. Now what's going on here? The Chazal say a nace happened. There's a man, a vicious man with 400 soldiers behind him, runs over to his brother. He thought he was going to kill him. The last minute a nace happened. He hugged him. When you hug a person, it's either to strangle him to death, to wrestle with him, or to kiss him. Both is tight physical contact. He hugged him, a nace happened, and then he fell on his neck and cried, and he kissed him, and by Yivkon they both cried. Yaakov cried and said, Voy vey, look what happened to my brother. Look at him, he's my brother. And Esav was crying, he says, look at me, I could have been like him. I could have been the fourth of the Avos, because there were 4 Imohos. There were supposed to be 4 Avos. More than supposed to be Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Esav. Because he had the brains for that. He intellectually had that. Because his brains is buried outside the Marzah Machpelah, in that pit outside the building. He had the intellectual ability for that. And so he said, they were crying, Yaakov says, never, look what happened to my brother. And Esav said, never, look what happened to me. So, for that moment, so he says, Chibuk, hugging. Savoro, it's written, but we pronounce it Savarov. You only have one neck. And vayishlach, there's dots on top of the word vayishlach. 7 times in the Torah, words have dots on them, which means as if they're not there. In English literature, you call that ellipsis, I think, or ellipse, which means like you say, like say you say something and everybody knows the words. You just put dots like, oh, say, can you see? Dot, 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 which means you know the rest of the words by heart. You don't have to write them. When the word dots are in the Torah, means you don't have to write this word. Vayichabkeu shouldn't be there because you really didn't hug him sincerely. Others say, yes, he did. He didn't want to, but a nace happened, and he did, the last second. And Saborov, plural next, between Saborov and Saborov is a Yud. Yaakov noticed Yud. Yud Kei at this moment came in and turned a murderer into a friend. A nace happened, right in front of his eyes. And at the end of time, Rabbi Yosef, this will end with this. At the end of time, all the goyim of the world will go through this process, 3-step process of chibuk, neshika, and bechiyah. And finally, after Mashiach comes, la'asir lavo, this will be the order. Chibuk means they want to get close to a tzaddik, hang around the Torah Jews. The shika, they want to kiss you and bless you. And bechiyah, they're sorry they aggravated you all these centuries. That's exactly how it's going to be. La'asir lavo. And chibuk, neshika, and bechiyah, ches, nun, beis, 58 and 2 is 60. 60 is Samach. That's going to be the Sof, the end of time, which we're living in right now. The Sof will be that they'll eventually love you when you get close to the body of a tzaddik. Neshiko, they'll kiss you and bless you. And Bechia, they'll be so aggravated, crying, that they cause you all this aggravation. All this aggravation. Because it was like Asa, the arch enemy. He hugged him, and he kissed him, and he cried. Vayetzei, have a good week, and hope to see you next week, earlier in the week. Sei gesund und stark.
Sure.